Imabong, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Yinka. I welcome everyone here to the African Accounting and Finance Association Virtual Academic Workshop for the West African region. The theme of this workshop today is doing accounting research in developing countries, navigating challenges to improve productivity. Undoubtedly, developing countries are underrepresented in accounting and finance research. And then coupled with the numerous challenges these countries face in achieving the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, new knowledge, especially from resident developing country scholars, is imperative. Unfortunately, such knowledge is still scarce, despite efforts to bridge this gap. In other words, there is a pressing need to support accounting research in the developing countries, and particularly in Africa. So given this backdrop, the West African region of the AAFA has put up this virtual academic workshop to deliberate on these issues and then provide practical support as well as guidance to scholars in Africa, especially those of us in the West African region who are striving to engage in high quality accounting research. We have invited esteemed scholars with wealth of experience in research. They are going to share some insights and their experiences on how to navigate research challenges in Africa, and then how to build collaboration and then maneuver the accounting publication processes. I thank you all once again for joining. I'm going to give the floor to the 6th president of the AAFA, Professor Stephen Nkudambayanga, who will now give us his opening remarks. I hope he's joined us now. I don't know if
I don't know. I can't see Stephen, but no problem. I will okay. Speak on his behalf then.
On his behalf.
I don't know if I haven't seen him in the room. I was trying to get him on call, but don't worry. Thank you so much, Imabong. And once more, I also welcome you on behalf of the president. I'm sure once he comes on call, he will have his chance to say something. The AAFA, if you're new, which I can talk about the data, just looking at the registration. If you're new to the AAFA, we are very focused in driving thought leadership in the continent. And this is one of the many series of capacity development events that we run to support our colleagues in the continent. I need to say we also have Conan in the room, who is helping with Francophone interpretation. So I have enabled the language interpretation.
There's
so
one Henry. There's one Henry that will come to collect that envelope from you.
So if you have any need for a French language, this is currently available in English and French. So you can go under translation, interpretation, and just select whichever language you want, and then Conan will do some translation. I will slow down the pace and our presenters to just being aware that if there's translation, we give the translator some time to be able to go ahead and translate. Conan, is that fine? Okay, I can't hear you. I think because you're in the French room now. You're the interpreter, right? Okay, go ahead. Conan. Yes, I can hear you. It's not. Just if you're in the audience and you're Francophone, can you just give us maybe, it's a thumbs, a virtual raise thumb sign or something. Let's see. Okay. Doesn't seem there is anybody at this point. Okay. And I think part of it is, okay, there's one. There's Abdullah Ahmed from. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Let's move on. We'll try to keep at the pace for you to be able to do the translation, but perhaps in a more summarized form. Okay. Like I said, the AAFA, we do things like this, and the big event we run is our annual conference in September. I'll talk about that towards the end. But today we have about 280 registration for this event. So hopefully everybody joined the call. Earlier on, my conversation with Conan was about 30 to 40% usually of registered participants is the conversion rate. And we're pleased to say that 74% of people attending today are attending their first AAFA event. So that's a very good one for us. My data here is showing that we have participants from 24 countries, spread from Australia, Cameroon, Canada, down to Zimbabwe, United States. And we have our big contingents from Nigeria and Ghana attending today's workshop. Very much the reason why it is the West African region. So I will pass this back to Imabong. This is perhaps the high-level summary of the president's welcome. I'm the vice president of the association. So if our president joins at some point, I'm sure we'll still give him the floor to say something. In the meantime, I'll pass it back to Imabong to introduce our guest speakers for today.
All right, thank you, Yinka. Yeah, I'm going to read the bio of Professor Kemi Yekini. Kemi began her professional journey with KPMG Nigeria, earning her qualification as a chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria in 1992. Subsequently, she transitioned to Deloitte Nigeria before venturing into the private sector, where she assumed senior management positions. In 2012, she moved to the academia after completing her PhD at the Leicester University Business School, De Montfort University. She had since held positions at various universities, such as the University of Nottingham, serving as an associate professor and at SOAS University of London, where she became the university's inaugural professor of accounting in its century-long history. Currently, she holds the position of professor of accounting at Aston University, actively contributing to the advancement of research activities within the accounting department. Throughout her academic journey, Professor Yekini has assumed numerous leadership roles. Kemi's extensive industry experience has significantly influenced her research interests in the field of accounting. Primarily, her interest revolves around sustainability accounting and transparency in corporate disclosure practices. Her research findings have been published in esteemed international journals, furthering sustainability and corporate accountability disclosure. Kemi engages in reviewing high-impact academic journals and has been actively involved in editorial positions, including serving as an editorial board member for various esteemed national and international academic journals. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Kemi Yekini. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Imabong. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for inviting me also to share my experience with you on my research journey and probably use the opportunity to encourage colleagues in Africa, on the way to go. So without further ado, I will just want to share my slides and we can move on. So I'm not, okay, yeah, I've seen it now. So I'm struggling a bit to do this. Okay, so what do I do then? I'm not sure what is happening. It's
Are
not
you?
allowing me to share my screen.
Oh, really? Maybe you.
I have more than one screen actually, and it's asked me to select.
Okay, yeah. Select the
I've
one.
selected, but then I don't know what it's not showing me what else to do. Maybe I need to say enter or something. I can't say. Okay.
Once you select, okay, yeah, good.
Yeah,
We can
it's
see it.
showing now.
We can see it now.
But what screen can you see? I don't even know. It's not.
Yeah,
So
It's not
international
showing me.
collaboration. Okay, but we are seeing it, international collaboration and mentorship as a strategy for improving research productivity in Africa.
I know, but I need to know which of the screens so that I know which one to. Okay, stop sharing. Is it this one? Okay. Okay, I'm going to do something now. I will start this. Now I've started the slideshow. Are you still seeing this? Oh
Yes.
my days. That's alarm from my end here. Oh. Okay, I think it's just a test. Okay, it stopped. Okay, so you are still seeing my screen, right? You are still seeing the slideshow.
Yes, yes.
Okay, just to be sure. So yeah, I won't need to introduce myself anymore because Imabong has done that for me, which I'm really grateful for. Okay, so I will go straight into my presentation then. So I've been given a topic on international collaboration and mentorship as a strategy for improving research productivity in Africa. And I would want to start by, making reference to this guy, because what we are talking about here is collaboration and international one at that matter. Isaac Newton, a popular physicist, I'm sure we all know him, who discovered the law of gravity. This quote was credited to him where he said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." So what Isaac is saying here is that, yes, despite all that has been credited to me, discovery of the law of gravity and the rest of them, despite that, I can still say the only thing that has given me this this opportunity is because I've been able to stand on the shoulders of giants. So that's Isaac saying that. And also I want to take just to show the importance of collaboration. From the Holy Bible, there is that quotation that says that creation was done with that shows that creation was done with collaboration when it says, "And God said, let us make man in our image." And of course, we all know that our human part all work together in collaboration. So I'm just sharing this quote just to, emphasize the fact that as far as research is concerned, I would say there is almost nothing you might not be able to move too far without collaboration. And of course, we are now looking at how would African scholars, collaborate with the internationally for them to be able to achieve successful collaboration. And that's why I think it's important that we look at what others that have achieved great things in the past have said about issues like this. So I will just want to delve straight into my presentation. I'm going to look at what international collaboration is. I'll just skim through the benefits, and then I'll dwell more on fostering international collaboration. And I would also want to call attention to some pitfalls to watch out for, and what sort of mindset should a scholar have for them to really be successful in collaboration. I also want to touch briefly on that. So international collaboration, of course, I mean, we all know what it is. Researchers from different countries collaborating together on a project, sharing experiences, sharing resources, sharing data, expertise, and so on. And generally, we know that research is built on a foundation of collaboration, just like I said. And I'm going to share some of my own experience just to buttress how far you can go with collaboration. And I also know of people who have refused to collaborate, and and they are where they are today. So by expanding your research network beyond your own institution, beyond your own country, you will definitely be creating a rich and enlivening academic career for yourself, like I put in there. So benefits of collaboration, like I said, is a long list.
Sorry,
It's
sorry to
inexhaustive.
cut you short, Prof. The slide doesn't seem to be moving. It's still at your bio.
That's why I said I wanted to know which of the screens you are seeing. So which means it was the wrong screen that is showing. Okay, I'll have to stop sharing and then select another screen. I have more than one screen. Sorry about that. So okay. Okay, can you see my slides now?
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can you see the slides moving?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I was just talking about the benefits of collaboration, and I was saying that the list is inexhaustive, but just to mention a few of them. Collaboration with colleagues, especially in other countries, will widen access to resources, especially articles. I know that colleagues in Africa and some other parts of the world might have challenge accessing some, very important, relevant articles that they might want to use in their study. But then, collaboration with colleagues in other countries could give you this sort of access. It could lead to higher impact publication, increase in the citation of, your paper, international exposure, getting funding. In fact, I joined at a time when I met Yinka and some colleagues talking about funding. This is one of the things that international collaboration could, do for colleagues in Africa. It can accelerate your career progression, and of course, there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities. with such collaborations. So like I said, I'm not going to dwell too much on the benefits. I'm still going to refer to some of them as I mention, tips and how to go about collaborating. Okay, so what I want to dwell more on today is fostering international collaboration. How do we foster it? How do we grow our international network? And that's why I think we have come together this morning to look at this issue. So the first thing I would want to talk about there is attending conferences. I know that, we cannot overemphasize conference attendance. But when I say attend and present at conferences, I mean international conferences. Conferences are excellent forums to meet with other researchers in your field. And in fact, depending on what conference you attend, you might have the opportunity to meet with researchers in other fields that you can then collaborate with in interdisciplinary research projects. So, but what you need to do is make sure that you are very selective of conferences you attend. You have to be wise with conferences you attend. You can check the scientific and organizing committees. You can check the keynote speaker. And if you are able to lay your hands on the programs of the conference in advance, you can also, go through the delegates of the conference to see who you might want to talk to and who you might want to, make contact with even before leaving your jurisdiction to attend the conference. And if you are a PhD student, it may be, you know, um, beneficial to attend the colloquial. Of course, I know PhD students will always want to attend colloquial. And also, if you are able to lay your hands on the program, you can go through and see those who are in your field that you may eventually become friends with and collaborators with, in future. Another thing that is very key here is to keep in touch. Attending conferences is one thing. Meeting people and then keeping in touch with them is another. One thing that from my own experience, I observe is that, you see, when you attend conferences, you collect cards, you exchange, contact details, and then when you get back to your institution, because of the rigor of the academic work, the demand of the work, you end up just, putting your cards. At times, you may not even come across the card for a long while. You just put it aside and you get carried away by the rigor of work. So, but one way to keep your international contacts and to help you grow your network is to make sure that you keep in touch with your contacts. This will require discipline and organization. It will require you being purposeful about it, being deliberate, keeping the contacts you've exchanged, the cards you've exchanged, making sure you get in touch with them. And thank goodness we have all of these social media like LinkedIn, which is a professional platform. One thing you can do is connect with them, because that was what I started doing when I realized that when you collect contact cards, you just throw them somewhere and you get carried away by the rigor of the academic work. But if you could connect with them even right there in the conference, it will really, really help you to keep in touch. And one of the ways to keep in touch is actively engage with them on whatever social media you have connected with. Be sure to compliment them when they get promotion, or when they've changed job, or when they've posted anything. Just click on it just to show that you are in touch. And one thing that LinkedIn does is, as soon as you send an invite and they accept your invite, then you are able to engage with them through message. So through the messenger section. So you can keep in touch with them through messaging them and all of that. So, but it is very, very important to keep in touch. Another very important one, which I always encourage my students to do is to reach out to authors. At times, you find an interesting article and you've gone through that article and you think, oh, this is very useful for my work. And at times we want to ask the author some questions, but we tend to be afraid or kind of skeptical of, are they going to reply to me or something. But what I always tell my students is, don't be discouraged. If you write to an author about their work and you say, you know what, I want to have more information on this, they will be very excited, because one, they know that you are engaging with their work, and what that means to them is that their work is having an impact out there. So they will be very happy to respond to you. So what I'm trying to say here is that reach out to authors as well, and through that you might be able to form an alliance, and you may be surprised what opportunities that can also bring. Okay, so another thing is to reach out to colleagues in diaspora. Now, I added this because I noticed that from my own experience, that colleagues outside, well, I am based in the UK, colleagues in Africa, they tend to see some of us that have, if I permit me to use the language they use, the term they use in my language, they call it japa. So they believe that some of us that have gone outside of the country, we have probably not done well enough, and as a result, they don't want to have anything to do with us. But one thing I can assure you is that for those of you in academic, you will really need these colleagues in diaspora. The reason is there are so many opportunities you can get through communicating with them, keeping in touch with them, and reaching out to them. Opportunities are, they are inexhaustive. If I may say that, apart from access to resources, collaboration, and things like that, visiting scholar opportunity is also there, and so on and so forth. Okay, so collaboration through service appointments, for example, volunteering to be technical committee of conferences. you know um at times, some of those conferences may be uh, organized by a mixture of academia and industry, or even if it is just academic conference as well. Volunteering to be member of the technical committee can, endear you to some of the committee members, and even through that, you can meet people to collaborate with, you can network, you know. Through these committees, you may discover opportunities to, co-author opportunities. You may even need to join them in chairing some of the session, and through that, that can help to grow your network. Okay, another one is developing online presence. I know, a lot of us have online presence, but the what I will want to emphasize here is really engaging with this social media. LinkedIn is a very good one, and then we have ResearchGate, we have Google Scholar, we have Twitter, and the rest of them. All of these we all know, but it is not enough to just connect on them, have your profile on them. You need to actively engage. For example, ResearchGate, colleagues would post questions. At times, they will want to connect with you or contact you regarding some work you have done, or just to ask some questions, and so on. Replying to such queries or questions would go a long way to connect with such people. Also, LinkedIn, like I said earlier, you can post things there. And recently, I noticed that even the LinkedIn, I think the organizers and some of, I don't know if it is the organizers directly or some colleagues, they would select you as somebody that can contribute to a discussion, and then they will send you a message to say you have been selected to contribute to this topic. Such things can also assist in growing your network, because when you contribute, someone might want to communicate with you directly to say, that thing you said in your contribution, can you expand more on it, or can you, just throw some questions at you. And with this, that can help to form an alliance. And like I said, developing online presence will, attract more people to you. For example, recently I had an influx of colleagues wanting to connect from different parts of the world. Just every time I sign into my email, I will see tons of invites from people here and there, inviting me to connect with them and so on. And I keep connecting. Even at times, initially in the past, I would want to go through the person's profile to before connecting. But recently, I just told myself it doesn't harm to connect. So I just keep connecting to as many people that request to connect with me. And through that, I have been able to, engage with some of them from different parts of the world. And as a result, PhD students are contacting, and I have been able to interview some of them that will even be joining my university soon. So what am I trying to say here? Online presence is very, very key to growing your international network. Very, very key. Okay, what else have I got there? Yeah, if you are an established scholar already, you can send your students on exchange program. For example, the Erasmus program that is organized by the EU. These are exchange program where you send your student down for training, and for through that you yourself can connect, work with them on whatever it is that they are doing in that program, and you can get connected through that. Another, if you are a PhD student, you can, and you have the opportunity to go on an exchange program, then I will encourage you also to see to take advantage of such opportunity, because the contacts you will make will be invaluable, for future projects, and of course for joint publication. Yes, it is also very important to whenever you want to for those of us that are supervisors of PhD students, when your PhD students are graduating, when they're about to graduate, as much as possible, if you can invite international colleagues to, be part of the external examiner, it's also something that I think has been very useful to me in the past, inviting scholars from outside of your institution. When I say, I mean your country, for example, from Singapore, from other parts of the world, especially if um, the topic relates to their area of interest. That can then encourage you not only working together, probably on that project they have examined, but on subsequent programs. Subsequent projects. This I have also benefited from in the past. You know, I uh, I was external examiner on that project, and when it was time for the student to develop the project, I was invited also to come in and work together with them on that project. So that can also, help to grow your network. Another thing I've put down here is to take a sabbatical to join an international institution as a visiting scholar. You know, this point here will follow on if you have been able to build your network through some of the other method I've mentioned earlier. For example, you you have been reaching out to your co-authors, I mean to your contacts from conferences, you have built online presence, and or you have some colleagues in diaspora who probably were friends previously with you in Africa and now they're in diaspora, if you have been able to build such networks, joining them, taking sabbatical and joining them as visiting scholar will not be a problem. And as visiting scholar, there are lots of opportunities you can benefit from. You can share ideas, share research finding, even work on projects. If appropriate, you can ask them to introduce you to their wider network, because there, as at the period you are with them, you would have the opportunity to meet with some of their, network, and through that, you can also become a member of that wider network. Something else I have put down here is interdisciplinarity. One mistake I would say that some of our accounting and finance colleagues make, because I know this conference is about how to develop, accounting and finance research in Africa. Now we tend to want to remain within our own confine. We want to remain as accounting research and nothing more. But what I have discovered is that if you are able to, if you are happy to go into other areas or join colleagues in other disciplines, you might be able to expand your network. And not only that, it can also endear you to other discipline, and you might be invited to co-author or even join them in projects, in funding application, and the rest of them. And I will give you an example of myself. When I was at the University of Nottingham, there was this proposal, research grant proposal, that was put together by the Department of Philosophy. If you look at the department there, it says division or department, it is philosophy. And the project is also on trust, truth, and the end of slavery. Now, how does this concern me as an accountant? It's not in my field. It has nothing to do with me whatsoever. But they invited me to join them on this project. Why did they invite me? Because I have an interdisciplinary approach to my research. And there was this paper um, I used linguistic methodology for. So the project is about looking at the transparency of narrative reports in annual reports. And I found semiotics, which is a linguistic methodology, a valuable one to assist me in analyzing the narrative content of annual reports. So I used it. In fact, I used it in my thesis, and also, eventually published an article through that. So they saw that article and they felt that methodology would be useful in analyzing, because one of the things they intend to do in the project was to analyze annual reports of companies to see whether they are transparent in their disclosure of modern slavery. And that was why I was invited to this project. It was a 2.5 million pounds grant. So I was invited just from the blues because of that, my interdisciplinary approach to research. So what I'm trying to say here is that we should not just confine ourselves to accounting research, because in fact, as far as I know, there are not many research grants that are specific to accounting research. Most of the time, you will find research grants in engineering, all of the sciences, and other areas. But limited, you can only find limited grants for accounting research itself. So collaborating with those in colleagues in other discipline can help to help us navigate some grants that we would not ordinarily have been able to navigate if we remain in accounting research. So having said that, so what are the tips on embarking on collaborative journey? I know I've said a lot about how to go about, things that you can do, but then what are the tips on you embarking on that collaborative journey. I always advise people to start with having an academic mentor. And like I said, if you have built an online presence, you have built online contact, you have senior colleagues that you have connected with one way or the other, either through social media or as a result of conferences you've attended, you can reach out to any of them to say, Prof, can you be my academic mentor, and so on. But then inviting them to be your academic mentor is not enough. I remember someone, just sending me an email sometimes ago and saying, I want you to be my academic mentor. And I said, fine, I'm happy to be one. And then he never came back. I was wondering, what exactly does he want from me? Because he never showed up again. He never came back again to, uh, bring anything to me or ask me any question whatsoever. So I occasionally I reach out to him to say, hi, hope you are doing well. And that is all. So what exactly does he where exactly does he want me to mentor him on? I had no idea. And somehow we just lost contact. So inviting someone or reaching out to senior colleague to be your academic mentor, you have to go with something. And I always encourage, early career researchers or PhD students to start with their PhD thesis. You've done your thesis, you've done a thorough job, you've done the research, you've collected your data, you've analyzed it, you've defended it. Now you have your thesis. What are you going to do with it? So if you've decided to have an academic mentor, you can start from there. I mean, this is just an excuse. You can start from anywhere. I mean, this is just an example, rather. You can start from anywhere. So, but why I said start with your thesis is from your thesis, you can bring out so much publication, especially if you have a good mentor and you yourself, you are, you are really ready to bring out the best from your thesis. Now, here again, I want to share my own experience of how I was able to publish 4 articles. In fact, there is a fifth one that I started with, uh, but I abandoned it at some point. But I'm going to pick up on it again. But I want to talk about these 4 that I was able to publish from my PhD thesis. And why was I able to do it? Through collaboration and academic mentorship. Okay, so I'm going to just show you briefly some of those papers and what I was able to do with them. So like I said, I published 4 papers from my PhD thesis. 3 of them I published in 3-star journals and only 1 in 2-star journal. For those in Africa who might not really understand what I mean by 3-star journal or what qualifies a journal to become 3-star, I have this metrics here that is used by the Association of Business School, the ABS ranking, they call it in the UK. So there is 4-star, which refers to quality. They see that journal as possessing quality that is world leading in terms of originality, significance, and rigor. And when they say 3-star, quality that is internationally excellent. 2-star, quality that is recognized internationally, and 1-star, quality that is recognized nationally. And then we have unclassified that we popularly refer to as 0-star. Okay, so what I'm referring to here is the 3-star journal. So my 3 of my of articles from my thesis were published in this 3-star journal, in 3-star journals, and 1 of them in 2-star. Now, this is one of the ones that was published in 3-star. I think Accounting Forum. This is another one, also Accounting Forum. Now, I want you to note these 2 authors, Ismail Adelopo and Emmanuel Adegbite. These 2 authors, collaborating with them, like I said, these are materials from my thesis. And that is one mistake that colleagues make. I met a colleague sometimes, some 5 years ago, who told me that he can never share articles from his thesis with anyone other than his supervisors. And I said, why? He said, because it is his work. Agreed, it is your work. But how far can you go without collaborating with anyone? Now, he said he can't share with anyone except his supervisor. Meanwhile, the supervisor then was not even interested in publishing with him. And so he decided he was going to go alone. And I said, do you think you can go far with this? He said, yes. As we speak, this guy is still in the same position he was 5 years ago. I think he has been able to publish one, but that is all he has been able to do so far. So just to show you the importance of collaboration, now it's thesis, I mean, it's materials from my thesis, but then I knew, as far back as then, that collaboration is important, and I really don't have to be selfish about it. I don't have to insist on, because it's my work, it's my sweat, no one else can come on it. I mean, there is a lot they can bring into it. Even if they are not adding anything new, their experience of publication can go a long way. How much more, not just their experience of publication, but you can also get more publication and more opportunities by bringing them in. Now, I'm going to talk about these two co-authors that I have circled there. Now, this is one of them again. As a result of that collaboration I made with them, I got additional 2 3-star papers and 8 2-stars from those two collaborations alone. I mean, this is just an example. I have other collaborations that produce so many other things, but I'm just giving this as an example, especially because it has to do with my thesis. So collaborating with them on materials from my thesis ended up earning me additional 2 3-stars and 8 2-star articles. You can see this is one of the 3-star. That's Emmanuel there. After collaborating with me on mine, he invited me to join him also on this project that he was doing with his PhD students, and we got it published in a 3-star. And this is the one from Ismail. He also got me, invited me into this. And this guy also, Yan Wang, I think I met him in one of the institution I worked with, and collaborating with him on one of my paper also ended up earning me additional 3 to 4 2-stars. So what am I trying to bring out from here? Collaboration is very, very rewarding. Very, very rewarding. And we cannot go too far if we think we want to remain on doing it alone. Like I said about that colleague. Apart from him, I've met so many other colleagues who have decided to go all by themselves, and they are still in the same position. Now, what is my reward? I've just summarized here some of the very few reward from collaboration. I was able to get published in top journals a few years after my PhD, and of course, this accelerated my career progression. I got attracted and also worked for, I call them world leading universities, like the University of Nottingham, where I was given associate professor and later a professor at the University of London. I became a professor 7 years after completing my PhD. I became recognized internationally for my research, got invited, got various invitations, got invited for a radio interview from South Korea to talk on, corporate fraud, invited as an expert by the United Nations to review some reports, consulted by an international consultancy firm, especially because of that, my paper on, the one I use semiotics for. If on and on, and I can go on and on to say so many other opportunities I have got as a result of, just that early collaboration in my career path. Okay, so I want to just continue on the tips. So that's what I'm saying there is you can start from somewhere. Don't just approach a senior colleague and say, I want you to mentor me without going with anything. You must have a clear vision, have a clear purpose, a clear goal. What exactly do you want from this colleague, from this senior colleague? Is it just for them to share experience? Is it because you want them to collaborate with you on a project? Is it, whatever it is, just make sure that you are clear in your vision, and you approach them with a specific goal. Ask for information about conferences you could attend. We are talking about attending international conference here. Some of these colleagues already are members of some international associations that organize conferences. They are technical committee members, so they can, and they will get information, emails from time to time on when these associations are organizing their conference. If you ask them, they can give you such information, and that can help you to attend such international conferences. Target to get your work into top journals. One of the discouragements for African scholars is that they think because they are in Africa, they cannot get published in top journals. That is not true. You can. If you are in the with the right network and you collaborate with the right people, you can get your work published in top journals. Don't be in a hurry to publish, and that's another mistake that people do. They want to get published, within a very short time, and so they just throw their article into just any journal, zero star like we call them, and which will take you nowhere. So don't be in a hurry to publish. See it as a long-term goal, and once you are sure you have the right network in place, you have the right collaborators in place, just be patient with them. Be sure to go along with whatever suggestions they are giving you, and with that, you can get your paper into top journals. Work on achieving your goal with a lot of grit, with a lot of resilience, with a lot of determination. And also, I will say here, work on your AQ. And that's going to lead me into talking about AQ later on. So, but before then, I just want to talk on some pitfalls. I know I've mentioned some of them, but I will just talk about them here again. Pitfalls to be mindful of. I mentioned earlier that you must have a clear goal. A clear goal. One of the reasons why international collaboration may fail, or contacting colleagues and asking them to be your network, why it may fail, is if you don't have clear goal in mind, just like I've emphasized earlier on. So you need to have a clear vision and have a shared, in collaboration also, you need to have a shared vision. Make sure that those you are aiming to collaborate with, your vision and theirs is, is the same. You are on the same, you are on the same page. So if you have a different vision to theirs, it might halt your collaboration journey. Lack of clarity, not properly defining roles and responsibilities. At times you get into collaboration and you don't get it clear what each member of the collaboration team should do. So you need to get things clear right from the onset. Who is doing what? Especially if you are working on a project, who is collecting the data, who is analyzing it, who is doing the literature review, and all of that will have to be clarified from the onset. Lack of trust is another pitfall that you need to watch out with. And how does this, how do we get into this sort of situation where some member of the team is either just joining for free riding, they have nothing to bring in, they just want to ride on the back of others to get published or to get the work done, or when some people are just full of themselves and they are not willing to listen or see things from the perspective of others, that can lead to dysfunctional relationship and so on. Poor communication is another one. You have to make sure that you have strong communication with your collaborators. You have to be sure that you are on the same page all the time. Yeah, poor relationship which can fall out from some of the ones we've already said. If there is lack of clarity, if there is uncertainty about the goal, if there is lack of trust, it could lead to poor relationship, and of course burnout in the collaboration. Groupthink is another thing that you need to avoid. Groupthink is when you are trying to, just because you want everybody to feel carried along, you consent to just anything. You have to be sure of what you are agreeing on, and how you are moving on in your collaboration. Okay, right. What sort of mindset should you have to succeed in collaboration? I mentioned earlier here that you need to work on collaboration with a lot of grades. I think when I was talking, yeah, and I said work on achieving your goal with a lot of grades and work on your AQ. AQ there is what is it called now? Adversity quotient. I'm going to talk of it in a minute. But before then, the sort of mindset that would help grow your international network and also help you develop in your career as a researcher, that I always emphasize on, is the growth mindset. You need to have a growth mindset. There is this article from Harvard Business Review that talks about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Growth mindset are those that believe that no matter the challenges, no matter the situation, they see the challenge as a bridge through which they cross over, to wherever their destination is. Rather than get discouraged as a result of challenges or adversity, they see it as a bridge. So that is someone that have a growth mindset. Whereas someone with a fixed mindset will think, oh, since I've failed in this area, I've tried to collaborate, I've failed, I'm just not going to do it anymore. I can't go that route anymore. But a growth mindset are individuals who believe that whatever they think they have at the moment can still be developed further, especially through strategies or through input from others. And such people would normally achieve more and go far than people with fixed mindset. I think, well, as I am at the moment, I can't do anything anymore. I just don't want to bother my head. I've tried, I've failed, and so having a growth mindset basically is what will help to progress your career as a researcher. And what do you need to have a growth mindset? That's bringing me back to working on your AQ. AQ there, like I said, is adversity quotient. This guy, Paul Stolz, has written a lot. He has done some research on it. He has written a lot on it. And I have come across also some researches that colleagues have done on the importance of having a strong AQ. Now, most of us are used to IQ, and I know recently people are beginning to talk about EQ as well. That's emotional quotient. Of course, we all know what IQ is. That is ability to reason intelligently, and then there's emotional quotient, which is ability to understand understand your own emotion and then use it to manage situation, use it in a positive way to relieve stress, to communicate effectively with others, to empathize with others, and so on. But then what of adversity quotient? Now, adversity quotient on the other hand is a score that measures your ability to deal with challenges in life. Many of us get discouraged when we have little challenges. When we've tried and we failed, we just think, I can't go forward anymore, and we want to back out. I call AQ a measure of resilience, or a measure of grit. And there's this diagram I got from one of Paul's presentation, where he said the AQ is a global predictor of success. So where EQ and IQ has failed, AQ will not fail. And the reason he said that is because AQ determines who will give up or stay on, no matter how challenging the situation is. And this is usually depicted by this diagram here, where, you know, those with strong AQ are described as climbers. Those that will climb up to a point and, you know, maybe they've tried, they've achieved some progress, and then they get to a point they feel, I can't go anymore. You know, they call them campers. And then quitters or abandoner, those who will just not even try at all, or try a little and then feel discouraged and stop halfway. Now, what I want to leave with you today is not to be a quitter. There are so much challenges in networking. You might think, I know one of the challenge may be funding. You know, like I said, try to attend international conference, but the question may be, where will I get the money from? But what I want to say, like what you can see here, if you can cut off the T of the I can't, because most of the time what you hear people say is, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't access that fund, I can't access that. If you cut off that T and you allow yourself the slogan of I can do it, I believe that you will go places. Recently, I read from one of the, I think it's in one of the group I belong, somebody posted a write-up on a Nigerian who won a very big grant, international grant, in one of the Nigerian universities. I mean, that person is in Nigeria, is in one of the universities there, and he won a very big international grant. How did he do it? You know, he must have done some collaboration. He must have, done some work, and he was able to do that. So if you can remove the T from the I can't, and clothe yourself or equip yourself with the slogan of I can do it. And probably I should leave you with that scripture in the Bible that says, I can do all things. I can do all things through Christ. So if basically what I'm trying to say there is, remove the I can't do spirit and clothe yourself with the I can do spirit. If you have that attitude, I can do it, and you move on and approach, like I said, through social
ga wannan
media.
ne zat baya azumi gashi nan kin ga da fuskan shi ya damshi bai taba yi
Okay,
ko daya ba.
sorry, I was hearing some background noise. So through social media, you are able to connect. Keep on, even if you think there is anything wanting to discourage you along the line, just be resilient and keep communicating with whoever you have contacted internationally. Keep responding to their posts. Keep in touch, and I believe with that you will be able to achieve growing your network internationally. And I think I want to stop here. Thank you for listening, and I will be happy to take questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Paul, for all the insights. They are well loaded. So I'm going to call on Yekini to make some remarks, but I think the question and answer will be left at the end of, towards the end of the session, when Professor Simpson would have done his presentation, so that we'll take all the questions together. So I don't know,
Okay.
Yekini, do you have something to say before we move on to Professor Simpson?
No. I think let's just get to Professor Simpson's presentation, and then we can take all later together. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Kemi. That was very well delivered.
All right, I'm going to
Thank
read
you.
I'm going to read the bio of Professor Simpson now. So Samuel Simpson is a tenured professor of accounting, governance, and sustainability, and the immediate past head of the Department of Accounting at the University of Ghana Business School, Legon. He holds a PhD in accounting and finance from the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom, and other professional certifications, including membership. Professor Simpson is a thought leader, and his teaching, research, and consulting interests include accounting, sorry, I was interrupted. Okay, Professor Simpson is a thought leader, and his teaching, research, and consulting interests include accounting, public financial management, corporate governance, and sustainability. He has supervised over 35 PhDs and MPhil theses, as well as published over 40 journal articles and chapters in diverse notable outlets, such as Accounting Forum, Corporate Social Responsibility and Environmental Management Journal, Journal of Applied Accounting Research, International Journal of Ethics and Systems, International Journal of Corporate Social Responsibility, Accounting Education, Journal of Accounting in Emerging Economies, Journal of Financial Crimes, Management Research Review, Social Responsibility Journal, Journal of Global Responsibility, Journal of Accounting and Organizational Change, Corporate and Business Strategy Review, and many more. He has consulted and facilitated trainings for several organizations. Notably among them are the World Bank, the German Development Organization, the International Finance Corporation, and the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Local Government Administration, the Ghana Oil and Gas for Inclusive Growth, the Credit Union Association, and Ghana Microfinance Institutions Network. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Samuel Simpson. You're welcome, Prof. You may have the mic now.
All right. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity. I think, Kemi, if you could stop sharing your screen so that I could share mine as well. Thank you. Okay. So let me quickly share my. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, it's showing now.
Okay, good. So as I indicated, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this wonderful conversation. I will certainly commend AAFA for this because this is really, really important for those of us working on the continent, particularly in the West African region. It is useful to hear from our friends and colleagues in diaspora and also hear from those of us here. So ultimately, we'll get a balanced picture and see how we can make some progress. Let me begin by just saying that I'll quickly go through this. Many of the things that I intend looking at, I must say that Kemi has extensively touched on the collaboration bits. And what I'll do is that I'll try not to repeat, but some of them in the course of the presentation, I may end up retreating or mentioning them. I will try by, first of all, looking again at some of the areas that perhaps we can look at by way of publication and bring our contextual or the developing country conversation. I'll also try and share, with you some of the challenges doing research from this part of the world and based on evidence from developing countries. And I'll try and also share some experience by way of, doing research from a developing country. And I will perhaps look at some suggestions, some of which Kemi has actually highlighted. by way of area for research, I must say that I have seen some top-notch scholars, even outside the country in the international realm, who usually argue, or they strongly argue that, you know, developing countries' contexts are actually unique. And many of us are actually not highlighting that, or we are not even getting some of these things, you know, in the top tier journal. So if you are here or you are on this continent of Africa or West Africa, and you think that, well, I perhaps need, you know, some data, you know, elsewhere for me to be able to get my papers in a top tier journal, I'm here to encourage you, let you know that the editors, you know, of these top tier journals and some, you know, prolific authors in this are saying that developing countries, we have some unique context that, you know, we can really bring to the fore, which a lot more people can learn from them. I mean, ranging from economic aspect, from our social dynamics, the different political regimes that we find ourselves in. When you have military regime, how that is affecting, you know, accounting and other emerging issues. When there's a democratic governance, you know, all these things affect that, not forgetting the combination of some of the socioeconomic issues, sociopolitical issues, our unique cultural, you know, tendency, the feminine nature of some countries, the masculine nature of some countries, the kind of legal regimes, not forgetting the unique, okay, institutional context, you know, that we also have. These authors strongly argue that, look, if you take the developing country, we have a lot to share to the, I mean, with the world, and I really want to encourage us to look at these things to project our context and the different stories that actually we can tell. By way of areas, certainly you can be looking at things around financial reporting, IFRS is all over the place, adoption, implementation, difficulties, quality of reports. We can actually look at those ones. Corporate governance cannot be over emphasized at firm level, at country level. I mean, how these things are affecting, you know, investment and other related issues. We can still do that. You know, it is not exhausted yet. Auditing and assurance conversation, moving away from usual audit to IT-based audit and other related issues. Not forgetting the informal sector led by the SMEs, you know, that dominates, you know, our continent. These are very useful areas that we can look at. Public sector accounting, again, with IPSAS, with other accrual-based, performance-based budgeting, procurement-related issues. These are interesting things that, you know, we can look at. IT, our taxation, account education, and maybe let me add one thing that I think Kemi also highlighted. You know, we are looking at cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary areas, not wanting to overly focus on only accounting areas. Let me even say that just recently I met a scientist who is in an area called conservation, you know, plant conservation, you know, and from the conversation, you know, things about how do we make this is important, how do people know the value of the plants and the things that we have in there. And I spoke of accounting for biological assets. They said, wow, you people also talk about that. Biodiversity, you also talk about that. And this is leading us, and we have started working on a proposal, you know, to see how we can. So like Kemi indicated, we should not think of only focusing on the traditional accounting issues, we can veer into other areas, and by so doing, they even get to know the relevance of accounting. There are those who think that accounting, research is all about debit, credit, and so on and so forth. Of course, that is not the case. But for us, to change that conversation, especially in our part of the world, it's important we start, exploring other areas, collaborating with other areas. I also had quite a similar story like Kemi shared, where while doing my PhD thesis, I was trying to look at things around, syntax and other stuff. And I had to talk to somebody in the linguistics department. The person was amazed. What has accounting got to do with, linguistics? So we want to encourage you to broaden, your scope so far as knowledge of accounting is concerned. And that is where the accounting profession will be very, very impactful. Not only at our schools level, but again, our country level, as well as the continent. Let me move on and talk about some of the challenges, especially trying to do research in this region. You will agree with me that in many developing countries, we tend to focus a lot more on teaching because of the student numbers. So what happens is that you are using all your time teaching, and you have little or less time to do your research. Imagine a situation where, let's say, you are a lecturer, or a professor handling, let's say, about 4 groups, handling about 10 groups, of students, an average of, let's say, 150 students, in a group. Your entire week is occupied. How then do you get time to do research? So this again happens to be one of the, and what even makes it sad is that usually this particular load is given to those who just join. So getting time to even do your research becomes a challenge. Administrative load as well. Sometimes, yes, others will navigate through the process and perhaps rise to some level, maybe senior lecturer, maybe also prof, and by virtue of administrative role, that again takes all your time, and you have little time to research or even mentor other people by way of serving as the academic mentors, and so on and so forth. In fact, you might even receive requests, but the issue is that you are unable to have quality session and time, with this potential prospective people. Apart from the teaching and administrative load that, we need to take note of, also has to do with access to data. Sometimes even gaining access to the organization that you want to do your case study with or do your interview. I remember hearing a consulting firm that was even a very top-notch consulting firm, kind of lamenting, saying that, look, we got huge sums of money from the World Bank to do a particular a review of a public sector organization. And in fact, we had to wrap up because we could not get access to board members. They could not get access to board members. So they had to wrap up and finish their work without involvement of key people like board members that were needed in the process. So access is a crucial thing. Even you send a simple questionnaire, getting feedback, is an issue. Once again, you may even get some feedback, but the quality of that, again, is also another interesting conversation that, you could also have. So if you don't do your data cleaning well, you don't, scrutinize whatever it is, that you don't triangulate what, what you gather. What will happen is that you will end up coming out with, misleading interpretation and misleading conclusion. And of course, that would affect the kind of recommendation that you make. Let me also talk about the resource constraints. Particularly funds, the databases, but of course, though these are difficulties, what is happening is that people down here are able to collaborate, which Kemi highlighted, extensively. In fact, she couldn't have done that much better, engage with our colleagues that we know elsewhere. So we're able to share, some resources with us. Can I get these papers? Can I get this database so I can work on that? In fact, these resource constraints again even frustrates. One of the major things to look about conferences, international conferences where you will meet people, where you exchange contacts, and in fact, that is another crucial thing. So all that people are doing is that they are restricted to what happens here because the institutions do not provide resources, so they'll be able to attend some of these conferences and workshops to enhance their skill sets. Of course, we have those institutional, factors in there. The fact that even at national level, research might not be a top-notch issue at country level. There's little attention given to research, especially in our area. Why? Well, because over the period, they don't really see the essence or the relevance of our area of research. And that is why I made a point earlier on that we should be able to be connecting to other areas. So as much as possible, they'll get to know the importance of what we are doing. We have the cultural issues, we have the diversity. Sometimes you perhaps want to maybe collaborate with somebody in Benin, okay, or another francophone, and the issue is that how do you do that? This may be a challenge, but I'm sure many of us have found a way to go around that due to language difference. The fact that I cannot appreciate, French. I must say that those of us in the Anglophone, we've not done so. In fact, we are not doing so when it comes to collaboration, because our Francophone friends can't express themselves and write well, can write English, but when we come to our end, the emphasis has overly been on the English language, and therefore we are unable to, and some of these things may also even affect our research. Let me also talk about, okay, our educational professional, mechanisms available. Sometimes professional bodies, are filled with a lot of professionals, okay, with little academic or research orientation. In recent times, we see the numbers actually improving. So the issue of collaboration and supporting, the work. So we come up with something that, will be developmental oriented, support national, growth, national conversation is actually missing. But as I indicated, these are areas I can speak more about what is happening in Ghana, ICAG in Ghana. We have now a lot more people joining and all these things, So these things are things that we could also look at. Then access to research work. AAFA has come, at the right time. It's been around for some time now, and it's really providing the when AFA began, it was only the annual event, but we can see in recent times that we have some of these virtual workshops, call for expression of interest and that. All these things, for me, I want to believe are areas, and I want to encourage us to go beyond the AFA. There are quite a number of them, and Kemi indicated join the right, social media network, the professional ones, where you can get as many as possible, and by so doing, you learn. And interestingly, some of these workshops, are free. Some you even drop them a what do you call it, a mail, and you are given a fee waiver. Sometimes you also given some subsidies on that related issue. So, though we see this as challenges to doing accounting research, one will say that there's been some marked, improvement, and we want you to explore all ethical issues, conflict, manipulating of data, information, because some of our institutions do not have these ethical issues, okay, as top notch. But go out there, look at even some universities on the continent. Before you go out there to do your work, these things are done. You have to go through your ethical clearance, and sometimes through ethical clearance, you even getting your people to attest to agree. Sometimes you also have some difficulties, and all of this actually tends to affect. I am mentioning these things not to say that they should prevent you from doing research. If you are not aware of them, I'm drawing your attention to that, and I'm also indicating that though these problems are there, these challenges are there, we are still working hard. We are still doing the relevant collaboration. We are doing the relevant network. So ultimately, we can become relevant in our space. What has been my journey? By way of research. Not too long, but I must say that I began with a quantitative approach, and also explored the qualitative way of doing things. But I noticed that with the qualitative, that requires a lot, interviews. I am saying that on this, this part of the world, that has really helped me in terms of gaining access. Because you engage a few people, they more or less become your acquaintances, your friends. If you need something else to be done, you contact them and they are able to link you up. This is a major issue, as I said, access, a major issue so far as developing countries concerned. So you might also take into account the kind of orientation that will allow you to perhaps snowball or gain access to other, data or other people by way of research. In fact, I know some colleagues who also began qualitative, and they said, look, we can't go through this struggle of meeting people to interview and so on and so forth. So for that matter, let us go quanti, pick the secondary data, go for your questionnaire and so on and so forth. I want to encourage you to be dynamic, be open, be open, because it is not about coming out with a paper, churning the paper out the papers, but it's also about doing something that is very, very, very impactful, very, very impactful. My first experience of research, required that I tried to make an argument for certain management consultancy firm to support SMEs. The motivation being that if you pick many of the management consulting firms in the country, then concentration on the big organizations, who can afford. And the SMEs were struggling, and we keep complaining about poor record keeping, poor accounting, and so on. And so the issue is that who is going to help them? Poor governance, who is going to help them? And from that particular, exercise, that actually led me to very, very key people that till date we are able to connect for information, to help research, to help with consultants, and to help with other related issues, even including they coming to our respective classes for us as guest lecturers. Let me say that through some of this collaboration that Kemi mentioned, some of this network, in fact, modestly, we've also been able to publish in very useful, and sometimes the question is that can I do this? Can I publish in top tier journals, okay, here in Ghana or here in West Africa? Can I use data from West Africa to publish in top tier journal? The answer is yes, based on this evidence. It is possible. It is possible. We have a rich story to tell, and if you don't want to go in for a shortcut, and you want to persevere, you want to endure with the right network, you will be able to get your work published in top tier, journals. What are some of the suggestions that I want to, by way of recommendation? Yes, whether you like it or not, you'll be given the teaching load. In our part of the world, you can't say you won't teach. Not only that, you are also, in fact, you'll not be promoted by being the most excellent, lecturer or teacher. It is good. You are going to be promoted based on your publications. And that is where the research also comes in. There's also another thing they also call community service, i.e. admin and other related issues. So my advice is that, look, you should be able to balance these things very, very, very well. You need to balance them very, very well. It's good to also volunteer your time, as my earlier speaker spoke about. Volunteer your time, serve on committees, conference committees, and other related issues. Very, very good. But it's important that you do what? You balance them, so you'll be able to also become relevant and be impactful. Let me talk about the network. The network, Kemi has done justice to it. LinkedIn is very, very, very good. Very, very good. ResearchGate is very, very good. There's another one to be called Academia. Also very, very, very good. We want to encourage you to join, subscribe. And as you indicated, you get one particular contact. And what happens is that other person's contact, you become your contact. And in the process, you are able to know what is going on at most places. People contact me. We work on things together, within the continent of Africa and outside the continent of Africa. So I would want to encourage you, if there are those here who are not on any of these networks, please do so. And as was indicated, don't just join, but be active. Be active. If there are some work in progress, ongoing work you are doing, even a research idea, you can go ahead and put these things, online, and you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Somebody will pick on it, and you get something done. So many of us are fortunate now that these things are there, and you can leverage on this and make as much as possible. Collaboration, within and without. What I began doing was to look within, collaborate with colleagues, mentors, senior colleagues within my department, outside my department, other schools. Then you look at, outside Ghana, the continent of Africa, and so on and so forth. There's a lot more that we can do, because again, through the collaboration, I remember sharing this with a colleague, talking about our challenge with the teaching research at me, and I said that if we collaborate, I have one research idea, I bring it up, and you join me, we are doing. You also have another research idea you are looking at, and I also join in doing that. What happens? At the end of the day, we have 2 papers each, but assuming I was looking at it alone, I have only 1 paper. You also have only 1 paper. So let's look at the multiplying effect. So we get a 3rd colleague, and a 3rd colleague is also working on something that we are all contributing towards. So what happens? At the end of the day, even if you are using 1 year to work on that, 1 year, we have 3 papers. Collaboration cannot be overly emphasized. And sometimes, collaborate. If you are young, within the academic space, you are fresh. Sometimes the collaboration, there'll be a lot of work where the senior colleague will be giving you a lot to do. Please don't feel bad. Don't think of, look, this man, I'm working for this man or this woman to get. But going through this particular process, you learn the rudiments, you learn the techniques, and I must say, I have one of my PhD, actually 2 of them, who the first time we had to get some paper published, and I remember along the line he said, "Prof, can we send this paper elsewhere, because the revision back and forth is really killing, it's frustrating me." I said, "No, it will go." In the process, the paper got published, and these PhD students are independently publishing, prolific publishers. They are doing wonderful work. So if you are going through the rudiments, we want to encourage you not to give up, and not say that, well, because of these constraints, because of these difficulties, I just need, a paper, and therefore I don't care wherever it gets to. Please, we want to encourage you to persevere, endure, be patient, and go through the process. Somebody will say you must trust the process, and through that, you will get some good work done. I guess I want to end here, because as I said, my earlier speaker has highlighted most of the things that, I believe they are so useful, and we be standing by for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Simpson, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. We shall now move on to the Q&A session, which will be a panel session. But before we move on, I would like to quickly recognize the presence of our 6th president of AAFA, Professor Stephen Kudambayanga. You are welcome, Prof. You might want to say something to us. Prof, would you like to say something to us? Are you there?
Okay, yes, I am. I hope you hear me.
Yes, very clearly.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work you are doing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone. And thank you very much for being with us today. Of course, as you can see, the theme of today, doing accounting research in developing countries, navigating challenges to improve productivity, identifies with AAFA broad strategy of enhancing and enabling African accounting scholars scale up to the global stage. And I want to thank you, Professors Kemi, Yekini, and Simpson, for agreeing to speak to us today on this important topic. I'm sure the audience has been energized, and from now on, we are going to put in practice what you have just told us. Now, of course, from this workshop, we are aiming to obtain valuable insights and guidance on how to engage in high quality accounting research. And for this, I want to thank you, Dr. Imaubong Judith now, who is our AAFA representative in the West African region, indeed for thinking ahead. And thank you to our AAFA members and representatives, executive members present here, for gracing this important workshop. When the executive is seen in these workshops, I think that provides some kind of encouragement for others to know how important these engagements are for the growth of our academic prowess. As you know, for the past 13 years, AAFA has been undertaking the most deep-rooted transformation in the African accounting history. And workshops of this kind is one such important intervention. Now, I wish you all a good afternoon, and I want to thank everyone again for having found time to heed the call of our most trusted representative, Dr. Judith. Enjoy the workshop. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. So we'll quickly move on to the Q&A session, which will be a panel session. And I'll now call on Dr. Yinka Moses to moderate the session. You're welcome, Dr. Yinka.
Thanks, Imabo, and thank you so much, Professor Yekini and Professor Simpson. I think what I would do is to just get the floor going, and perhaps members feel free, or maybe what I might do, Professor Simpson and Professor Yekini, if you're on the call, maybe we'll just spotlight ourselves, and then we can now just wait to take questions. I mean, both of you did talk about very core issues, and like Stephen said, these are the things that the AFA really is seeking to drive down. But maybe a couple of things may be very practical. Simpson, you did mention, how to navigate some of those challenges, which I suspect a lot of our members in the continent are struggling with. And I know some of us on the call I saw Stephen was here earlier on. I don't know if he's still here, but the experiences are similar across. So this point is for us to share those practical tips if people have questions. But from both you and Kemi, I know you've really discussed the core point, but feel free to tell us any practical tips that have worked and how you see that in terms of dealing with the everyday problems. I think,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So let me give you a practical example. So I was trying to do a paper on, I think, this performance contract, performance, this happens to be one of the reforms where state-owned enterprises, sign performance contracts, with the states, the ministry in particular, and now what we call SIGA. And I remember so well getting to an officer who is supposed to help me, answer some of these things. So I got in there, I introduced myself, we had pleasantries, and I said, okay, this is my mission. Okay, that's fine. Can we start a conversation? I said, okay, to help me with to allow the information to flow, perhaps I want to record the conversation so that at least we can feel free, we can talk when we are done. Then straight away, his face, demeanor changed. Then I kind of hesitated a bit. I said, well, he said, okay, you know something, my friend, if you want me to give you all the information that you want, no recording. No recording. Listen and take notes. Imagining, getting access to our big man in quotes, that you've been struggling to gain access, and all you have to be doing, certainly that's going to affect, the way you engage. So this is clearly some of these challenging issues. So with such a person, what I had to do was that I had to meet the person several times, because I do the interview, I go back, I try to put them together. I see missing links. I said, Chief, can I meet you again somewhere so I can fill my portals? I do that. In filling the portals, he might say something that requires further. So look at it, one person, certainly. So this is actually one of them, and I don't know whether Kemi also has some to want to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Kemi, you're on mute.
Okay, yeah. I'm more of a quantitative research person. So I engage mostly with databases. I do secondary data, so I don't have such experience. But one of the challenges that I think African scholars have, especially with regards to networking with international colleagues, is really how to know these people, how to know who to talk to, who to contact, and which is why I emphasize engaging with the social media, especially LinkedIn, which you also emphasize. And colleagues are very open. If you just send, if you've gone through the profile of a particular colleague and you think, I want to network with this person, all you need to do is send an invite. They will almost always accept. I've never seen a colleague in the past. I must confess, in the past, I wasn't accepting just any invite unless I know the person. But at a point, I realized that no, this is the world of academics. This is how we can thrive, and so I accept as many invite that comes my way as possible. And with that, you will find out that you can grow your net, not just on the social media, but even contacting them. I've got PhD students through LinkedIn. The person just contacting me and saying, can you be my supervisor? And, from there we get talking, and that is it. I've also got a network, with someone in the US through LinkedIn. We just communicated on LinkedIn, and the next thing, he wanted to come to the UK and he wanted to present in my university, and I made it happen. So a lot can be done through social media. So we can't emphasize that enough. A lot can be done and good enough is easy for us now. There's internet everywhere. There is, so connectivity is not a problem. And that I think we should take advantage of.
Thank you so much, Prof. So colleagues, this is general question and answer time. So if you have a question for our panelists, please, or our guest speakers, just either unmute yourself or drop a question in the chat. So one thing that came up in the presentation, I think that was Simpson that also mentioned that, is also finding where people in Africa have strength to do research. And I think I sort of understand when you talk about, sort of moving from the traditional quantitative, which is not bad, but, looking at those other areas where you might gain more access to sort of data. Because sometimes people who want to work, sometimes we want to find database. And Kemi, you know this if you're doing more of the quantitative data, but you may not find that sufficient database in Africa to give you the kind of publications that will lead into mainstream big journals. So that is where that sort of multidisciplinary, multi-skill in terms of research becomes handy. And I think, Kemi, even though you're primarily quantitative, you've done a few other research that does not necessarily require archival data and work with other people in that sort of collaboration. That's another area I'm thinking you can also provide our participants with some thoughts, people who would like to do things like that. What sort of practical advice do you have for them? Thinking about moving from one method to the other, or trying to do things with people that they don't share the same methodological strength with.
One area that is that everybody seems to be looking at now is this climate change, and all this carbon footprint and the rest of them. Although for us in accounting, our interest is the reporting of it, but we can collaborate with people, colleagues in engineering, who also research into these areas and come from the aspect of accounting. So if we can approach them and just come up with idea and see what we can do together, like myself and Professor Simpson emphasize about interdisciplinarity. I think it's an area that we can explore as accounting researchers, because they always have access to funding. I mean, more than us. Usually, funders don't believe too much in debit and credits. There is nothing to fund in debit and credits. But if you connect with someone from, in fact, because I'm talking more about engineering, because I'm also doing it right now. I'm in the process. So they do a lot about this climate change thing and all that. And they to them, they just want to apply for funding to navigate some project they've got about climate change. But you can come to them from accounting perspective and see how you can contribute to such projects. And that, I think, is something we should look at.
All right, thank you. Before you make any comment, Professor Simpson, I think we've got a hand up or two. I can see Elizabeth, is that correct pronunciation?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I'm from the University of Birmingham, and thank you so much. I only had the chance to hear Professor Simpson's presentation.
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
It's a background noise.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm more of a qualitative researcher, and I have a very generic question to the panel or anyone that is, participating in the workshop today. In terms of theorizing and theories used to make sense of accounting and its effect on these contexts. So I'm involved in a project on the copper mining sector in Zambia, and we're looking at CSR practices and issues. And it always strikes me, and I always wonder how appropriate are the theoretical perspectives we are using in accounting journals nowadays to make sense of the local context, because you talked about how important it is to reflect the particularities and peculiarities of the context. Sometimes that this might be a bit more Western-centric. And for instance,
No, nobody work. I want to try to my volume come outside.
Sorry about that. I think just go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. So just to, yeah, wrap up about theories. For instance, I'm interested in theories about the state. So state is a very important actor within the African context. Do you have any views about how appropriate are theoretical framework we use that are more Western centric, and if you think they undermine our understanding of the local context, and in particular, if you have any insights about how to conceptualize, theorize the role of the state within this context. For example, we have post-colonial or we have neo-patrimonial kind of perspectives in trying to understand how the state works in this context. Are these reflecting the particularities? Are there any theories that are more appropriate or indigenous in this context, if anyone has any experience on that? And thank you very much. Very, very insightful workshop.
Thank you for that question. Let's we get our panelists to share their thoughts, and I can share some thoughts, and then we'll welcome anybody in the room who would like to also add to that.
Can I ask her to repeat what she said about theorizing? Some noises came in, and I didn't quite get what she was trying to ask.
Right. Elizabeth, I think if you want to make it.
Yeah. So I guess it's applies a bit more on qualitative research and trying to make sense. For example, I use the role of the state as an example of what kind of theories would you use to understand what is the role of the state in affecting how accounting works or CSR, works in the particular context. But in general, I'm interested about your insights if you're using theories, and usually that's more relevant to maybe qualitative research, in particular kind of type of publications in more critical journals. Do you think that current theories used, like institutional theory, things like that, that are a bit more appropriate for Western context, and they kind of undermine the peculiarities of the African context? There is a big discussion about that, so I would like to see what you think about that. Did I make more clear or not?
Yeah. It's clear now. Yeah.
Clear, it's clear.
Maybe I should allow Samuel to go first because you are the one on ground there.
That's okay. I think that Elizabeth probably missed last year's AAFA. If Elizabeth had been at the last AAFA held here in Ghana, I'm sure getting, let's say, African-based, philosophies, assumptions, and postulations that would really have really helped. I think one of the things that came out from such conversation was that if you pick these postulations, they have not been used that much. So in terms of it's being popular, I mean, quite. You have a few question marks on that, and I believe that particular conversation was to draw attention to some of these postulations made by renowned leaders like our own Kwame Nkrumah and other people, and how those things are working. But specific to, I mean, your concern, so far as accounting is concerned, we have those traditional, agency theory and so on and so forth. But what accounting scholars are also doing is to borrow theories from other disciplines. So you mentioned institutional theory, which we all know it is an accounting theory. It's a borrowed conversation. We are talking about structuration theories, the Bordeaux and other related issues. All these are not necessarily, should I say, accounting theories. So I would always say that being aware of some theories are actually a good way to start. Okay, as you go out there, engage with your data. That is where you get to know, among other things, some of the theories that perhaps may well fit, and you can then engage and theorize your work. We want to again try and distinguish, between you trying to come out, okay, with your own theory, what people call the grounded theory, okay, or trying to refine or modify an existing one, okay, as against you perhaps seeing one particular, theory that best, explains what it is that, you are doing. In the choice of the theory, you must make sure that the theory, either the theory is explaining an aspect of that, or perhaps you need other theory to complement the deficiencies. And I don't know whether this will be appropriate to, this time got to be appropriate to draw a little bit attention that you don't necessarily need one theory, okay, to explain the phenomena. You can get multiple theories, so long as well fits and helps you, contribute, okay, or answer and so what questions so far as your work is concerned. I hope this is useful. Thank you.
Right. I
Yeah.
can just okay, go ahead.
Can I? Okay. Yeah. I just want to encourage what's her name? Is it Elizabeth? To
Elizabeth.
look at this. Yeah. There is this emerging theory called Afro-capitalism. You might just want to have a go at it just to see if it will fit into what you are trying to do. Afro-capitalism basically is talking about African being able to do things on their own without the influence of the Western world. So it's more of it has to do with investment in Africa, and it talks a lot about Africans doing things without really having to go with the Western way of doing it. So maybe you want to go through that to see if some of the things you are looking for is embedded in that theory.
All right. Thank you so much. I think, Elizabeth, these are very good, I would say, practical suggestion you can consider. Just to talk to that, I think when you're looking at the role of the state, if I suspect that's the question we're asking, so there are different, and it all depends whether you're applying a more critical lens to the role of the state. There are things Philip, myself have published, and you can look at neo-patrimonialism. And we also looked at some of the theories we use will be critical dialogic accounting. And we looked at sort of the nexus of accountability. If the role of the state is accountability, then how is that being discharged? So there are, I think in the end, it's very hard to say, here we go, this is what a theory is. It's going to be something that emerges from your research question and really how you are approaching the work. If you're critically engaging to see what is there and then what ought to be, then you might benefit from engaging with some of these theories. But if it's something else, if you're just doing some sort of interpretivist research, not critically engaging with it, it's again slightly different. Or if it's more of a historical perspective you're building from, then maybe historiography will just be the context you want to engage with. So in the end, the method and the question you want to address might be very important. Maybe just to tie that up, I can be of help if you flick me an email. I think I do have, I think there's a compendium of methodologies that recently we got that was put together. I can share that with you. And just looking at those papers, you can see whether anyone sort of fits into the way you're approaching the work. Sadly, there's no correct answer here. Your work will eventually determine what will be the most appropriate theory to go by. Thank you, Professor Kemi and Professor Simpson. I don't know if there's anybody still any question there before.
Yes, I have a question I want to ask.
Okay, please go ahead. And who's speaking?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Abdulatif Olamide Amadu. I'm from Nigeria. I want to ask about, is there any theory that can go with the dynamics of accounting education and professional competency? So I want to know which of the theory that can go with those variables so that
Well, Simpson, I saw you recently in accounting education.
Yes, but I want to tell Kemi to, because he made mention of
Yeah.
variable. So one variable comes in. So let's something
Well, I think the way he's used the word variable there is not the quantitative aspect. But anyway, I think that research is an opportunity for you to engage in interdisciplinary research, because you've said there accounting education. You might want to explore education theories. You know, if you maybe engage with colleagues in the Department of Education, you might want to explore some of the theories they have used to, to research in education. I have not done anything on education, so I don't have any theory right in my fingertips now to suggest. But because you've mentioned accounting education, then it might be good to, communicate with those in education and see if you can get something from there.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, may I add to that? I mean, just to reiterate the point made by Kemi, that's one of the things that we are trying to do over here. We have a department, an entire college called College of Education. So one of the things we are doing now is, by way of the cross-disciplinary, is to get in there, look at some of the things that can really help us tell our story well, and the process they also see how it works. In fact, I don't know whether any of us were taught how to teach accounting. I don't know whether we were taught how to teach accounting, nothing like that. But you get in there, and for them you have how to teach mathematics, how to teach English, how to teach sports, and so on and so forth. So I would support the idea of getting in touch, and in the process you come across some interesting, there are some learning theories, the behavioral issue, the cognitive stuff, and you can get something good out of that. And if it's unable, my friend is unable to get contacts in Nigeria, I can give him contacts at University of Ghana, to help. All right, thank you.
Thank you for that help. I see, Uja, your hand is up.
I have a question.
Yeah, just hold on. Thank you. I see somebody dropped a message in the chat. Maybe I'll read that out, and then here's a thought. This is from Laura Orubia, if I got the name correctly. And it reads, thank you for emphasizing the issue of multidisciplinary approach in accounting research. I love working with micro and small businesses. Researching on these issues like working capital, access to credit, and tax, it is an issue of study. It is an issue maybe of interesting issue of study context, but I have faced a lot of bashing out there, people saying I'm not into accounting. I mean, so this is this question of where is the accounting in the research? When you go multidisciplinary, you go into another new trouble. People say, show me the accounting in it. What do you have to say? Professor Kemi and Simpson.
Yeah, just like I showed you an example when I was doing my presentation, philosophers bringing me into their project, and you start wondering, what has accounting got to do with that? But for me, for example, because I used a multidisciplinary approach, using linguistic methodology to analyze annual report. Remember, it was still accounting research I was doing. I was analyzing annual report, but then I adopted a linguistic methodology to analyze the narratives of the annual report. And they found that very useful and brought me into their own project. Of course, what I did in that project is also to use that methodology to analyze annual reports still. So I'm still doing my accounting stuff, but it's just that doing it to help them in their own projects. Now, back to the question of that colleague. As long as what you are doing is still within the confines of accounting, no one can bash you out and say, what is the accounting here? Whatever you do, I mean, as an accountant, no matter the sort of multidisciplinary research you engage with, you will still be coming from the point of your own angle. So you just must be sure of what you are bringing into the research, and then you can justify your accounting connection there. I mean, yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, no matter what I do, no matter the discipline I collaborate with, my accounting aspect is still what it's just that I'm doing it, somehow combining their own kind of skill with mine. But that does not remove my own accounting aspect of the collaboration, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simpson,
Maybe
any
Simpson has
thoughts?
something.
Okay.
What is the accounting in the research?
What is the accounting in this? This is something that we also used to hear, here in Ghana, in the University of Ghana, for some time, and I must say that the narrative is changing gradually. It's how we have put accounting in that small box. So anyone who talks about accounting is okay, there should be some account, there should be numbers in, there should be something in, and so forth. In fact, I remember I had to defend someone's promotion, and the argument was that the person is doing corporate governance stuff too much, and where is accounting in corporate governance? You see the whole thing. I mean, our process is quite different from many other places, just publish. But what is accounting in corporate governance? What is accounting in, but I must say that my friends should not be worried. They will get to that stage. It's all about more engagement, getting people to know what it is that we do, how our research we do actually going to help decision making. When you get to know the accounts is about promoting decision making, supporting development, some of these narratives would actually change. Access to finance, certainly accounting, how do you even assess particular fund? You need your financial statement to do all your analysis for one to convince that you have ability to pay or other stuff. So I will encourage such friends that we can't stop doing that, and we need to do a lot more buying and general education so that we'll not be faced with questions like which IFRS deals with this topic that you are talking about, which IPSA deals with this topic that you are talking about. Thank you.
Right. Uja promise, and I think somebody else wanted to ask their question, but Uja promise, if you can quickly put yours through.
Thank you very much. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I want to especially thank Professor Kemi and Professor Simpson for a well-packaged presentation. It's a privilege to see Professor Kemi live. I think COVID-19 have brought so many new normal I've been reading about her, and it's a privilege to see her and also to hear from her. Thank you very much, Ma. I want to talk about two things. One is my question, then the other one is a recommendation. I'm Uja Promise. I'm a Dr. Uja Promise from Nigeria, Michael Akwa University here in Abia State. Yeah, I earlier mentioned that COVID-19 have brought so many new normal, especially in terms of this social engagement or network engagement. You must not necessarily travel outside your region to attend a web package presentations just like this. In the comfort of your home, you can still get the same facts. But there are some certain things that it have not really addressed, which is where the collaboration actually comes, and that is where my worry is. It is time bound. This kind of webinar is time bound. You may not give participants the opportunity to actually know people. I'm trying to go through the participant tab, see so many people that I'll be willing to collaborate with, but immediately after this presentation, I may not be able to see them again, and I may not be able to, contact them again. Unlike the physical, workshop where you can actually approach somebody and exchange your view, your research view, and way forward. So I'm asking a question: is there any way that AF can improve on engagement of participants? At least part of the workshop I attended last week, it said get to know your colleagues. If that could be, added in the forthcoming, it would be very much enlightened. It will be very much improvement for us participants to engage more comfortably with other of participants who may not actually present but have, idea to collaborate. That is my question. Then secondly, Professor Kemi, there is an aspect that I feel that wasn't really addressed, which is early careers. There is this issue of fear in carrying on research. I wouldn't know how you will assist us to address the issue of fear. We have got so many supervisors, so many professors that once you just submit your work to them, they will trash it. They will not give you, the opportunity to even think that you can, move forward. And that have created a lot of fear, anxiety in early careers. So how could you, encourage early careers, early researchers to, be able to come out of that fear? As you rightly say, we can. Yes, we can. So I want you to just throw more light on it, and also the Professor Simpson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uja. Maybe I just touch on the AAFA part, and then because one of the things that may be helpful is creating that network. We have multiple social media handle, and like Professor Kemi said, LinkedIn is good. It might be another place you connect with each other. And I think Danson is here. Danson, if you can just drop our handle, if even the LinkedIn page, if you follow it, most of the people you're seeing on call would likely be following the same page. And same as the AAFA other social media platform. I saw Frank earlier on as well. So that's one possibility. Another thing is, like Professor Kemi said, if you see anything here that you would like to connect with, maybe you can send them a private message while the call is on, or you can search for them on LinkedIn or any of those platforms. So that's just my 2 cents there. And we do organize regular events of this nature. So perhaps if you're on our mailing list, you get this invite, and occasionally that relationship will build. But I agree with you, we'll do more on that as much as we can. Sorry, Professor Kemi, to interrupt you before that.
No. I mean, it was okay for you to have. Now, let me just touch briefly on the, when he said, how do we, on virtual meetings like this, how do we continue with the connection and so on? If you can private message participants directly, that it's only the participant that will get such message. So just like Moses said, you can just go through the list right now and see who you think you might want to collaborate with. I mean, we are online. You can open your Google account on one side. If you see a name, type it on Google to see if you can bring anything up about that person. So you can read the profile of the person, and if the person is somebody you want to connect with, then of course go straight to LinkedIn, search for them, and connect with them. So that's one thing we can do with social media. I mean, with virtual meeting. Yes, we can't emphasize enough physical meeting, because apart from exchanging contact, you get to know the person, you get to chat, you can even go for coffee and so on. I mean, it has its own advantage, but we can still make do with what we have by connecting online. Okay, now I'll talk about the early careers. Yes, the issue of fear, like you said, is there for early careers, and which was one of the reasons why I decided to share my own experience, because that experience I shared about my publication, I did immediately I finished my PhD. I was an early career researcher, but I realized earlier on in my career that
Just a minute, please, can you mute yourself if you're I'll mute off. Yes.
Okay. So I realized this early in my career, that I have to get in touch with senior colleagues and collaborate with them. And I went all out to, and in fact, collaborations, it doesn't just work automatically. You don't just go to one person and think going to that person has done it. You may go to this one and you say, and then all you get from that person is frustration. Move on. The important thing is not to be discouraged. If you approach this person and the person is not playing balls, just move on to the next person. By the time you try to connect with 2-3 people, you will see one that will the chemistry will work together for you, and you just see yourself collaborating with that person. So the take home from this is, don't be discouraged, and don't limit yourself to one person, one professor. You've contacted this professor, they've discouraged you, or they've done something that has, made you think, oh, will this publication journey be ever possible? Move on to another person. So, as you keep trying to connect with one person or the other, you will find someone who will be interested in your work and who will want to work with you.
All right, thank you. We'll be wrapping up shortly. I think one more hand. Lovely.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Is it lovely?
Okay.
Okay. Ofebu, please speak. I think you were the one who wanted to ask before lovely.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to thank the paper presenters for a job well done. The paper is well understood. My own question is on one of the challenges mentioned by one of them, which is a big challenge to researchers in accounting, and that is availability and the quality of data. I think Professor Simpson mentioned it as one of the challenges. But looking at the recommendations, to me, it doesn't seem to me there's any recommendation relating to that. You want to do a work, you see
So we may have lost Professor Ofebu. But perhaps the question may be similar to one I saw in the chat that was saying, hello, unlike most universities outside Africa, accounting data are sourced from Bloomberg, DataStream, etc. We presently have African firm level data in IFRS database, but many universities still want accounting researchers to collect data manually. What are your thoughts about this?
Well,
my own is
okay, sorry. Ofebu is back. Complete your message. I thought we lost.
Okay, my own. I don't know where you had me last. I said one of the paper presented raised the issue of availability and quality of data. And most of the time you don't have available data, but you go to the net, you want to search, you see related work, journals that may help you in going through your paper or your write-up. And it's under lock and key. And you may not be able to provide, or you don't have enough resources to begin to pay for all of them. So there was no recommendation on that, how to overcome it, or will this collaboration we are talking about solve that issue? That is my question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let me start. Let me start then. Let me just ask something before I respond to that. My friend, I think promise. I think one of the things we can also do is that when you get onto programs like this, you could start sending everyone, hi, my name is this from this university. Others will follow you, because I remember I needed somebody from Tanzania to help me do something. So I went for some of this workshop. I'm this from Ghana, blah. Then the person, so I contacted the person afterwards, and we are sorting ourselves out. So that could be something that we could also be encouraging ourselves to do. So Prof, like you said, the issue about data, how do we overcome that? One of them is building a strong network, a strong network in a sense that, I am here in Ghana. Moses is in New Zealand. I have seen a couple of papers that my university has not subscribed to, I cannot access. I drop, Moses an email with a list of these papers. Moses downloads them, forward them to me, and I'm working. Because if your university has not subscribed to that, there's nothing that you can do. And Africa, we are constrained. Okay, we are constrained when it comes to some of these databases. So it's through some of these network, as well as even the collaboration, that's where we can access some of these data. So that is what I actually want to emphasize on that, because we have institutional challenges. Even there's no money supporting you to attend conference, and there's no money supporting you to attend workshop. Subscribing to a database would also be another big deal. So perhaps we need to make do with our relationship, collaboration, and network, and we can get something done. Thank you.
Yeah, Professor Kemi, I think you've already dealt with that very well, Professor Simpson. I don't think okay, yeah. I think you've said it all, and I think the summary of it, the answer to that problem is
Can you quickly take Loveling Ekowa? Yinka, can you quickly take a question?
Yeah. Loveling, can you put your question through?
Okay, thank you so much for the wonderful workshop. I am not precisely from accounting specialty. I am from business management. But when my friend, Dr. Imobon Nnam, told me about the workshop, because we usually work together, I decided to join in the workshop. And I'm happy that I was able to attend this workshop today, because I learned a lot. It's just a contribution that I want to make, not necessarily a question. I heard somebody one of us that asked questions about, early researchers, how they can be encouraged. It just made me to remember when I just completed my PhD, I was so eager to publish that I was not even looking at the journals where I was putting my paper. Actually, I published this paper alone. I just met people that I felt that could mentor me. I asked them, where and how can I publish? I want to publish my paper. You understand? I did 4 seminars. All those my seminars, I was able to publish them. They just gave me few names. I did not even check whether they are good journals or not. I was just eager to, start publishing. Then I didn't have any mentor or I was not collaborating with anybody. I just did the publication. So when Professor Kemi, was talking about having patience, I just remember those days. I said, if I had patience, or if I had people that I was collaborating with, or people that were mentoring me, maybe I wouldn't be in a hurry to just get published in those papers. In fact, sometimes I look at those publications, I regret even doing publishing them in some of the journals where I published them. If I had little patience, or maybe I had somebody that was actually directing me well, maybe I would have gotten them in a very high impact factor journals. It's just a contribution I want to make, just for early careers, to have patience and look for people. Sometimes you met with some people that you think they will help you. They just want you to bring the paper, maybe give them. They will discourage you, but you don't lose hope. You continue trying. One day you get people that will actually mentor you. Like now, I have people that I'm working with. Not only one person, there are different people. We are in different groups, and we are publishing in good impact factor journals now. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll soon be wrapping up, but I don't know if I'm missing any question. But generally, what I just want to remind everybody on call is that the AAFA will be putting out a lot of this sort of events. So just keep an eye. And there is the LinkedIn handle that we have posted there. Please follow the LinkedIn handle to get updates to all the upcoming events. A couple of them are coming up very soon from other regional representatives. So we will also be sharing it through the same platform. I don't know if there's any question that we have missed. Otherwise, we want to be wrapping up. Excellent. Imabong, anything from your end before we officially close?
Nothing really. I just want to say a very big thank you to our presenters. The presentation, the session was very impactful, highly rewarding. So very big thank you to you for finding the time to share your experiences with us. So I think I'll leave it to you, Yinka, to close the session.
All right, before I close, I can see Steven in the room now. And perhaps you want to say something?
No, I apologize. There's a couple of meetings going on at the same time, could not join. But I was very pleased to Kemi, my fellow colleague at Aston, talk very good, and Simpson. I particularly like the words of obviously networking and Simpson's point about patience. I think people might sometimes feel, you want to get it tomorrow, you want to get accepted the paper tomorrow or next week, but I think all of us, and including myself, have it's a slog. It's a hard sort of revision, re-revision, another revision, and it's part of this process. So I think it's important people realize the reality of the thing. It can be a very it can be rewarding, but can also be a very feeling like going up a mountain, and when you reach the top of the mountain, there's another mountain waiting just behind it, and then you just keep going. So I think it's important, but I think it's the way forward. There's no solution than working together, collaborating together, and helping. I do a quick plug, Yinka, for the special issue. We have the accounting special issue on Africa. Accounting forum, which is we're just starting a development process this year. It's not submitting yet. We're not submission is not happening until next year, and we will have events. There's an event going on online. I will advertise this a bit more, I think, Yinka, through the network, if that's okay.
Yeah, if you've got the link,
about the event.
if you've got the link, you can drop it in the chat, right?
And we have received a number of very interesting, very fascinating submissions, would be good for people also to, even if you haven't submitted something, maybe you might like to attend just to see how things, how we going through the process of giving feedback and everything else. Yeah, thank you. But again, very well done to Jimabong and you guys for this.
Steven, I think you got the link for the special issue. Do you want to drop it in the chat quickly?
I will prefer to send the link with the registration separately, if you don't mind, because I have to find it.
Excellent. And I know Tanzania is doing one as well, so we'll share all of this information.
Yeah,
so,
if you've got the emails of registrations, I can send you something later on.
Yeah, we can always send post-conference workshop detail. Thank you once more, Simpson. We are looking forward to seeing as many as can attend the conference in Zimbabwe. It's in September, so that's a big annual conference for us. Last year we were in Ghana. We were treated to the nice hospitality of Simpson in Ghana. So this time around, Simpson is heading to Zimbabwe. So yes,
if they let him in, yeah.
Oh no, let him in. Why not?
Let him.
Okay.
Joking.
So thank you so much. I think from me and on behalf of the president, I don't know if Stephen is still in the. Stephen, do you want to give the final comments? I'm happy to pass that to you now.
Tinka, I think you go ahead. I am listening.
Okay.
What I can say, I want. Yeah, the final comment that I have is really to thank the presenters. I think they have been very good. I hope you are hearing me, Inka.
Yes, I can hear you.
Inka, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I really have to add on your words in thanking our speakers today. These professors have been wonderful, and we have had a wonderful audience. And I want to thank our senior colleagues also who have accompanied our speakers. I saw Tevin. I think Tevin, we are really highly indebted to your support to AAFA, and everybody, generally speaking, you have been good people. And I want to suggest that you really consider joining us in Zimbabwe. For us, much of the work is done during our conference, and there is much to contribute and much to learn when we'll go to Zimbabwe next September. Other than that, I wish to see you then, and also kindly participate continuously in these workshops. I know they are aligned. There are many aligned conferences. Workshops. I think we have one in South Africa, one of our southern region, Sizidane, will be having one, and I think we have another one in East Africa. We have had others in North Africa, and I think we shall have another one in Central Africa. So I want to invite you all to attend these workshops, in addition to attending our grand conference in Zimbabwe next September. Thank you very much, and over to you, Yinka. And
all right. Thank you, Mr. President. And all I will say thank you, and I'll see everybody in the next events. All right, have a good, it's early morning for me, but whatever it is at your end, afternoon, morning, have the best of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye.